Hello viewers, welcome back to Legacy Finance. Legacy Finance is all about personal finance, investments and entrepreneurship. So if you're interested in content like this, I encourage you to hit the subscription button down below, turn on your notification bell so that you get notified anytime we post fresh content like this. Now in today's video, I'm going to be talking about financial independence and how you can work your way towards achieving financial independence. Now, before I dive into the video, there are certain questions that you must pose to yourself. The first of these is, 1. What is financial independence? What does financial independence really mean to you? And the second question is, why are you striving for financial independence? So I'll start with the second question. The second question is, why are you striving for financial independence? The truth is that whether we like it or not, money affects us greatly. Money dictates how we live our lives. It dictates the quality of life that we will live on earth. It controls so many aspects of our lives. And most of us spend so many years of our lives working just to accumulate this money. So what if you could live a life where you don't have to spend all your life working for money and still be able to afford the things that you really need? Imagine the stress, the trauma, and the psychological disposition that comes on you just working to acquire money. Imagine the separation from family and loved ones. All these are things that will affect you if you do not have enough resources or you are not financially independent. So based on this, you will understand why attaining financial independence is very crucial and very important to your existence as a human being. Now, the question now becomes, to what level of financial independence should you strive for? Or how much do you need to have so that you can really be financially independent? I know that this is relative and people will have different answers to this. But for me personally, this is what I think financial independence is all about. Financial independence should be about acquiring assets and properties that will be able to afford you enough interest that you don't have to spend an extra day working and you still be able to afford your present lifestyle without any financial stress. For me personally, that is what I define as financial independence. So it's all about acquiring assets, it's all about acquiring properties that will continuously generate interest and profit for you, that you can live off that without having to continuously be working just to survive. This is basically what I describe as financial independence. Now, apart from this basic definition of financial independence, there are 4 matrices that I also use to identify whether one is financially independent or not. The first of these is, 1, you should have a decent home or a decent house. A decent home where you can sleep soundly and wake up soundly. You are secured and protected from the hazards of the weather. And if you are a family man, it means that it is good that you have a decent home that you can use to shelter your family and your children as well. So that is the first metric that I use to identify someone as whether financially independent or not. Now the second metric is this. Once you have secured a home and a housing facility for you and your family, then you should have a decent means of transportation. Transportation is one of the fundamental life processes that we all undergo. So you should have a decent means of transportation. Now, depending on the part of the country that you are living, this could be a car, this could be a motor as well. But I personally recommend having a car because if you are going out with your family, then you need a larger space to accommodate all of them. So that's the second metric that I use to define if one is financially independent or not. Now let's dive into the third metric. The third metric is affordability. Affordability here covers so many things, but at the basic level, can you afford to take very good care of your family? Can you provide food? Can you provide for the utilities that you use in the house? And can you provide better education for your children so that they are educated better than the education that you had as a parent? So that is the third metric. You should be able to afford the basic things of life for your family and your kids, and you should be able to educate your kids to the highest level of education. Once you're able to do this, then it means that you are financially grounded and you are financially independent. Now the third and most important metric, which most people usually overlook, is the fact that you must be able to retire and still have enough to support you in your old age. That is the fourth metric. Now, assuming that you decide to stop working today, do you have enough assets Do you have enough properties that can afford your present lifestyle without you lifting a finger an extra day to work, especially in your retirement when you are now old and not much productive again? So if you are able to achieve these 4 matrices, then in my opinion, I believe that you are financially independent. So that is the gauge to which I describe someone as being financially independent. Now that we have defined what financial independence means in my context, now the next big question is, how do you achieve this financial independence? So I'll be outlining 4 major steps that you can use to achieve financial independence. The first thing is, 1, you have to learn to identify what I call the 3x rule. The 3x rule simply means that you take 30 and multiply by your annual expenses. 30 and multiply by your annual expenses. So if your annual expenses is, say, let's say you spend 5,000 in a month, it means that in a year you are spending 60,000. So 60,000 times 30, that's 1.8 million Ghana cedis. So you take this 1.8 million Ghana cedis as your 30x rule. Now the next question is, when this money is invested, the interest it will yield for you, will it be enough to sustain your present lifestyle of, say, 5,000 per month? And if you do the mathematics very well, 1.8 million invested at an interest rate of 15%, which is what the government issues in the form of bonds, that will give you 70,000 Ghana cedis as interest payments. And your annual expenses, as we did earlier, which is 5,000 times 12 is 60,000. So this means that you are earning an interest of 70,000, which is more than what you spend in a typical year, which is 60,000. So the difference between the two is now 10,000. So this 10,000 can be added to your principal of 1.8 million and then reinvested. And when this is reinvested, then it begins to yield more interest for you, and it means that eventually you are getting to a point where you don't have to work again, but your assets, your money is out there working for you and sustaining the life that you want to live. So that is the first metric that you can use to determine if you are financially independent. So now we have established how much you need to have sitting in your account, then you can say that you are financially independent. Now the next big question is, how do you get to this amount? Just knowing that you need 1.8 million is not enough. You should have a clear roadmap as to how you are going to get to the 1.8 million. So that is where I'll identify certain strategies that you can use to get to the 1.8 million Ghana cedis. The first thing is, 1, you have to learn budgeting. You have to learn budgeting. What is budgeting? Budgeting simply means that you will write down a list of all the items that you usually purchase or buy or spend on in a month and the price tags attached to them. From this, you'll be able to tell 3 things. 1, you know where your cash flow is going. 2, you'll be able to identify whether your cash flow is going into assets, liabilities, needs, or wants. And the third and most important thing is, it will help you to learn how to spend money wisely. So budgeting is very important. You have to learn how to budget and budget properly. So that is the first strategy that you can use. Now, based on your budget, it will lead you to the second step that I will talk of, which is cutting down your expenses. Cutting down your expenses. Now, from your budget, it will inform you the things that are wants, the things that are needs, and the things that are liabilities on you. So once you identify the things that are wants, which you can do without necessarily sacrificing, which you can do away with without necessarily sacrificing the quality of your life, then you can begin to cut down on those expenses. And as you cut down on those expenses, then you will have more than you usually have, so that you can start investing that money, which is the third step to this whole process. So first of all, you budget, you cut down expenses. Then the last and the most important step is invest that money into an interest yielding account. And a word of caution is, do not be strayed away by investments that promise you high and huge interest rates of return, because these are programs that are will set you up for failure. So invest your money in places that you are guaranteed a safe return, no matter how small it is, and your principal is guaranteed. So those are the 3 principal steps that I've mentioned in this video that I believe that they can help you attain financial independence. So just a recap of all that I've spoken about in this video. First of all, you have to define what financial independence is to you. Secondly, you have to identify how much you really need to really retire or be financially independent. Then the next step is how do you work towards achieving that amount. And that is why I listed things like budgeting, cutting down your costs, and then reinvesting the excess that you have left all over. These are the things that I believe that if you implement and take actionable steps on these things, then you are surely setting on your way to financial independence. And if you are really getting value out of this video, I encourage you to hit the subscription button down below, turn on the notification bell so that you will always be among the first to get notified anytime we post fresh content like this. And if you are really interested in more content like this, you can check out my other YouTube videos. I have similar videos like this that are financially educating. And thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you another time.